Hi everyone, I'm Kopal and welcome to the Bits 2 MBA Indian MBA panel discussion. We have three really amazing guests with us today. We have Ishan Sarna, who's from IIM Ahmedabad. We have Shubham Raje from the Indian School of Business, and we have Chinmay Gokhale from IIM Bangalore. The way we'll structure this session is first they'll tell us a bit about themselves, give us a background on their journey and everything, and then we'll open the floor to Q&A. So I'm not going to take up a lot of your time, and I'll just open the floor to the panelists and you guys can go ahead.
Right, sure. I'll start. Hi, so thanks for inviting us, first of all. As she said, I am currently at IIM Ahmedabad. I was in my final year at BITS in 2023 and actually 2022 when I decided I wanted a deferred MBA option so that I could explore the tech side, tech role job. And if I don't like it, I have a good backup plan ready. So that's why I gave actually GMAT and applied to the deferred program at ISB, which I got through. But after that, I thought of giving CAT because there are similar papers. And yeah, at that point, I was not very serious about doing an MBA. But after going through CAT, I got a good enough percentile. At that point, I thought I'll get the shortlist. So I started properly preparing for the interviews that I did with full time for around 3 months, got into IIMs A and C, and decided to directly join here after talking around and a lot of consideration. So yeah, that's been my journey. Happy to answer any questions.
Thanks a lot, Ishan. We'll move ahead now. I was actually very anxious and nervous considering that I am probably on one of the older side of the entire age spectrum out here, being a panelist with so many young people and young and talented people out there. So yeah, my journey has been somewhat different. I graduated from BITS much long ago. Like I graduated in 2016 and I did prep for CAT. But I was blatantly unsuccessful in my 2 or 3 attempts that I had taken. However, and in fact, I had almost given up my entire MBA aspirations, but a few things struck around, a few things happened in my career trajectory, and that is when I decided that I need to pull up my socks and reconsider this whole option of applying to different B schools. But however, my target was only applying to B schools abroad, and in India, ISB was the only option. And luckily, I decided to, luckily got a good score in my first couple of GMAT attempts and happened to apply to ISB, have spoke to a lot of alums around, spoke to a lot of BITSIN alums around who eventually made it to ISB, and yeah, was lucky enough to get there. And yeah, just been a year since I've passed out from there. So yeah, happy to share more about my journey as well.
Yeah, that was really inspiring, Shubham. So, hey everyone, I'm Chinmay Gokhale. Great to see everyone on a Sunday afternoon. That's really inspirational by itself. I mean, it's a good thing to see people on the weekend. I graduated from BITS Goa back in 2021. I joined IIM Bangalore directly as a fresher, right? So probably if someone has that question, right, on those lines, then probably you can ask them. I joined IIM Bangalore in 21. I passed out in 23 and been working at BCG as a consultant for the last 1.5 years. My decision to do an MBA was probably something I thought about in my second year, right? When I did the finance minor, when I went into the clubs which were leadership oriented, right? A lot of those roles came in, is when I realized that I was someone who wanted to do something on the non-core side of things rather than the core side of things, right? That is when I started exploring multiple internships as well, which gave me a flavor of what it is to work in non-core, be it prodman, be it finance, be it consulting, right? And that is when I could finally make a decision that, yeah, I would like to pursue an MBA. Thankfully, CAT interviews and all worked out. And post that, I've been working in consulting for 1.5 years. So that's a brief snapshot about me. And yeah, as everyone said, happy to answer any questions as ahead.
Cool. We have received a few questions on the form, so I'll just first go through that and then we can open the call for any questions on chat. So one of the first questions we have is, how do I choose a specialization between finance or HR or marketing as a fresher, without any prior experience in any of these fields? So yeah.
Okay, I'll take that up. So so ISB predominantly has had experienced folks into its cohort largely. However, it has recently started, it is going to initiate the PGP Young Leaders program, which will probably also include a sizable amount of freshers into it. Regardless of whether you have an experience or whether you don't have an experience, there's always an inclination about something that you want to do in your professional journey. So you would be given ample of opportunities to explore that. It could be through various clubs. It could be through interacting with a lot of professors who would be teaching you the core fundamental business concepts in the first couple of terms. Or it could be some of the projects that the institute actually takes up with various industries. And there are also a couple of partner institutes, at least from an ISB's perspective, I can tell you there are a lot of partner institutes in various fields like public policy, healthcare, and some social development as well. So you would be given ample amount of time to explore your niche, or probably what exactly is it that interests you. At least, even if not that, at least a B school will definitely tell you what you don't want to do. So there would be a lot of avenues out there in the B school, and depending upon how you are correlating yourself, how you're fitting well in the cohort, and which branch of the cohort, you definitely will have that on your plate. So that's definitely something you can explore once you have actually made it into the B school. So that is how I would take it up. Happy to hear from Chinmay and Ishan as well. Yeah.
One quick chat, right? This question was regarding the specializations offered at B schools, or is it the career choice, right? Because a lot of B schools typically may not even have a specialized field.
Yeah,
right?
Right.
A lot of
That's why I picked it up. I think it's the academic specialization they're talking about.
Yeah, they're talking about the established specializations. Yeah.
See, in that case, I mean, I agree with everything Shom said, right? Nothing specific extra to add on, right? I'll say that it's 60 to 70% of what you think you want to do, and 20-30% of things that you realize once you go into the school, right? Because as someone who hasn't gone into the school, you don't know a lot of things, right? And from personal experience, right? What I thought B school would be or industry would be was something that obviously, I mean, I was 50-60% right, but there were a lot of things that I realized once I went into the B school, right? So you should go with some kind of inclination, or maybe 2 or 3 eliminations for sure. But as a fresher specifically, I would suggest you to go in with an open mind, right? Don't go in with a lot of preconceived notions. Let the first 1 or 2 months shape your thought. And I think that will be the best way. There's no right answer to it. There is no industry that you will feel I'm absolutely right for, and vice versa. Right? So would say that probably the first step would be obviously getting into a B school, but post that it would be good that you take, due experience and exposure before deciding.
Yeah, I don't have much to add on here, but just I also entered as a fresher, and I don't think once you enter this query actually is a big hindrance, or it even comes up a lot, because everything as you just go through the process, you will automatically eliminate very many options. Some options will eliminate you. Once you go through the process, it won't be a very big issue. For internships, again, for freshers, especially, a lot will depend on the kind of shortlist you get. And secondly, enough exposure is there in the first couple of months that you can decide. The only proper decision, I think, is to be taken where finance internships especially require a sort of different track of preparation, but the rest of the fields are more general and are common, so you can do those together. So I'd say just leave this question. It will automatically solve itself. It won't even remain a problem. And after the internships, by the time you reach your final placements, by that time clarity would be there. By that time you wouldn't need to ask this at all. I don't think this is something to spend time thinking or pondering over.
Makes sense. The next question that we have is about quantitative finance. So people want to know, what are the various roles that are offered after an MBA in the quantitative finance domain especially, and how do you prep for these roles when you come from a tech background? So like hedge fund or investment banking, those kind of roles, how do you prep for them if you're coming from a tech background, and what sort of options are there?
All right, so I'll take this. My internship was actually in quantitative finance. Mostly, what you're saying, it was a hedge fund actually. So these sort of roles coming from a tech background, you'll anyways have an advantage in terms of getting in. Secondly, one hedge funds are less in terms of roles offered. My company also, in fact, I think came only to IIM Ahmedabad only in India among the IIMs. Rest they took from IITs. So yeah, I don't think hedge fund specifically should be a target when you are going for an MBA. But for the other quantitative finance roles, yeah, standard markets, sales, trading roles are there. And for the preparation point of view, I would say right now prepare for CAT and the interviews. These things, again, once you get in, all this will be taken up in very, very copious amount of detail by those who have done it before in previous batches. Internship preparation, every aspect of it, and that's the right time for it, and you'll have enough time. No need to worry about it right now. You need to at least get into the institute to have the chance of preparing for the internship itself. Focus on that and don't worry about the preparation. That will come and you'll be given a lot of guidance.
Yeah, I think the next question, Shubham, would be more catered to you because it asks about essays. So they're asking how to structure essays, and there's also a part of it where they say that can we use AI tools now to sort of enhance the writing and structure them better? So how do you feel about it?
Personally, I did not use any AI tool when I was preparing my essay, because the reason being, I wanted my flavor to reflect in the essay how I am as an individual working around, and how exactly my profile would really help ISB in terms of the entire employment opportunities, or how I can very well contribute to the whole cohort. So I did not use any of the AI tools. That being said, it's not like a writing on the wall that you should not use it. You can definitely probably use that to enhance your language, or probably just give it a decent grammatical check to it. So there's no harm in using those AI tools. But I decided to write my entire essay on my own, and with a little help from some of the alums who would then vet my essay and tell me what are the gaps still there, and how exactly can I cover that. So that's that is the answer to the use of AI tools. And regarding the structure of the essay, so as I said, it would really help if the entire essay is as organic as possible. Your story essentially should come out. By story, I don't mean to say that it should look made up, like a typical sympathy or empathy generating story, that this happened in my life, I have had a really tough life, and I have applied to this B school, and this B school will change my entire life. That's not going to happen in the first place. So your essay has to be extremely objective about what exactly do you want to do. Most of the essays would entail you to answer why an MBA and why this particular B school for an MBA. I mean, there would be a different flavor to the question. So, but these are the two questions you would definitely be asked. So you have to be very objective with the answers about what you have done, what you have accomplished, what are your achievements, what is it that you want to do, and why do you think that this particular B school will be the bridge in helping you achieve that target that you have in your mind. So as long as you stick to those guidelines and you make the essay reader easy to understand, then it really improves your chances. If you're going to use a lot of jargons, if you're going to cook up stories in your essays, people are smart enough to catch you on the spot. And I've personally vetted like 20, 30 essays during the last admission cycle. And I've seen the kind of red flags that people make into it. So yeah, that is where I would stick into it. If there's anything specific that people would want to know about the essay writing, we can eventually discuss it when the floor is open.
Right, makes sense. So we have a last question and then we'll open the floor.
I just want to add a small point on that essay question. So when I wrote my ISB essay, ChatGPT had not yet been launched, at least the versions we use. I wrote it completely myself, but after that, a few of my batchmates and 24 bits batch people sent their essays to me for review for the next cycle of admissions. And just to be very, very clear, if you're asking this question, should I use AI tools? It is very apparent in the essays that it's ChatGPT writing
Yeah.
mostly. There is a way to use AI tools without making it apparent, but then you wouldn't even say that ChatGPT wrote this. Then it's just simple phrasing. What's what can I use here? Using it as a thesaurus or as an advanced version of a Grammarly. That's something separate. But if you're using it to write, it is very apparent. And trust me on this, MBA pro especially will be the experts at catching this. They read so many projects and it's now it's habitual. It's muscle memory how to figure out which one is AI, which one is not. I would highly recommend you to not use it at all, or at least even if you do want to specifically have an urge to use it, then at least write a couple of drafts yourself. At the final stages, when most of it is ready, use it to maybe enhance it, improve the grammar, make it more precise, whatever, those sort of things. But even then, if you are unsure whether you know how to properly make use of it, then ignore, write it yourself. It will be better than a essay which has better English, but is looking like it's written by AI.
Just a quick thing, right? A lot of B schools have now implemented policies and tools around understanding which essay is written via ChatGPT as well, right? I know for sure IIM Bangalore has a school where they run every project through a scanner, right? And that tells you how much of it is AI generated. So there are tools which are counter to ChatGPT. So just be very judicious before you use any kind of tools for such a formal event. Yeah.
So the last question I think is more catered to Ishan and Chinmay. So they're basically asking, did you feel that there were any disadvantages of joining an IIM straight as a fresher versus, joining after a couple of years of work ex?
Ishan, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, sure. So no, I think it was much more advantageous to join as a fresher. In the internship shortlist phase, which I think the query would be aimed towards, there would be times where you would feel that if I had WorkX or a person with same worse profile with some WorkX has gotten a shortlist that I haven't gotten, which might be true. But if you see that in the lens of working for 1 year or 2 years more, then I did not think I lost out on a single shortlist, which I would have gotten through WorkX, which was worth a couple of years of not delaying my MBA. I would say that people often compare with WorkX as a person with 2 years more WorkX with similar profile got a X better job, but you need to see that at the same phase of your career, which would be for him right now, for you 2 years after you graduate. At that point, also, you feel that after graduating 2 years of post MBA work, do you still feel that that person immediately after MBA had a better chance, right? So I looked at this from that lens, which of course, some of it may be my own bias. This was just my thought process. It's not set in stone, but I also had an inclination just to do it, get it over with early. So it may be a justification for that. But one is this. Second, for IIMs at least, only IIM Ahmedabad offers deferred admissions. So if you are have a plan like I want to work I want 2 years work X, then you give CAT, then you don't get a shortlist from IIM Bangalore, Calcutta, then what? Then now your plan is derailed. Now you are 3 years late, right? So at least try from the beginning. Even if you are very sure that you don't want to get a deferred admission at IIM Ahmedabad. ISB, I think, has stopped that program. Otherwise, that would have been an excellent option too. But yeah, that's what I would recommend. It's too luck-based. CAT is a 2-hour exam. You can't rely on yourself giving it perfectly 2 years down the line while making this decision. And yeah, freshers have very good. By the way, that was also hypothetical. Freshers get the best of interns and jobs. Look at Chinmay. He's at BCG. What more do you want?
Yeah, I mean, see, I'll be honest. I wanted to get done with MBA, right? As Ishan said, I didn't trust myself to, come back from the work life and then give an exam, go into the academic mode, and then do stuff. And I think that was the right decision for the person I am, because now that I'm working, I can't imagine myself prepping for a competitive exam, right? But I think there is sort of a small flavor of personal stories, right? It really depends on which industry, right? For say consulting, for example, does not differentiate a lot between fresher and non-fresher, right? They need the specific resume spikes. There are some certain things that they look in a resume, and if they see that, then a fresher, non-fresher is the same for them, right? But probably some specific fields, like say Prodman, for example, right? I know a couple of my friends, right, who did CS majors and had a hand above the others because they had 1 or 2 years of experience in either soft dev or something similar to Prodman, right? Is why they could get into all those Prodman kind of roles, because these roles have don't have a lot of intake, right? The larger firms come and take in only 1 or 2 people, as against consulting, which might hire a large chunk of people, right? So it's a very specific story. Ishan and my story probably will tell you that freshers don't have a lot of disadvantage. But again, it really depends on which industry you might want to get into. And coming to the whole other academic aspect, right? The internships and all apart, WorkX folks may be able to slightly relate to the content being taught in B schools more. Like I felt that at times, I'm not sure if Ishan relates to me, but probably some of the HR courses, some of the other more operational courses, right? They were able to appreciate it better given they have been in the industry. When you come from a typical academic background where all you think about is padhai karo, get marks, get through, right? The whole technical standpoint that engineers come from, you may not be very well able to appreciate the fact that MBA has a non-technical approach to life, right? That is just a small caveat, but I think apart from that, no specific thing you're losing out on. So if you are someone who feels that you would want to get done with MBA, please go ahead and give CAT. Also, if you don't want to go for MBA immediately, I would still urge you to give CAT probably once and give it a try. Because if you directly start after 2 years, it'll be very difficult for you to go into that particular cycle, study, and appear for the exam, right? It's better you must have given CAT 1 or 2 times before that, so that you have a good starting point against others who start from scratch. So either way, it's a good option if you want, or you have a hint that you would want to go for MBA, that you should appear for all these competitive exams in your final year.
Yeah, I can actually just add a few bits to that. So since I arrived in ISB with almost 6 years of work ex, I can tell you my first, I almost flunked my very first term. Not because, no, not flunk, but it was like I felt like what exactly have I gotten into? Because it was really difficult for me to get back into that whole academic zone, because I had been working in a niche field. I had been working in my own comfort zone for a very long period of time. And getting back to the grind of so many things, it really takes up some toll on you. Having said that, there was also another side to it. I could really, once I got comfortable in the whole academic space, there were so many other things that I could catch up on very easily. Since I have an analytics background, I was pretty good with statistics. I was pretty good with decision-making courses. I was good with operations management courses. All those data-heavy courses that were already there, I was pretty good with that. And that does give you an advantage, but that is not like a big kind of a trade-off that you really would want to bank upon. So yeah, my entire conclusion on this whole topic would be a B school has something meant for you. So you will definitely get something out of it. You just have to figure out what exactly is that.
I think that was a very balanced, nuanced answer, so I'm sure everyone
Yeah.
really benefited from it. Cool. We're done with the list of questions we had. I'll be opening the floor, but I'll request everyone to not just unmute directly. Either post on the Q&A on the chat, or you can raise hands or something, and then we'll unmute you. So
Hi, sorry, but I posted my question couple of
yes,
times and
yes,
I did,
because the floor was not opening, right? The floor was not open. We'll be
okay,
taking
okay.
a question now.
Okay. Actually, my question is related to what is being discussed. So, can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, really, sorry guys for barging in like this. But while you guys are discussing that, is it okay for a fresher to get in and things like like that. So I am from the other side. I think I'll relate a bit more to Shubham here because I come with 6 years of work ex, and I'm planning to do an MBA now. And I'm aiming for more the executive MBA because I believe it will suit me more, given that it's more concise and it's 1 year. And yeah, I mean, couple of factors that I have, analyzed. But I would like to know from you guys if you would have had seniors or people around the campus or anyone who has done an executive MBA. So, what is your take on that? How is it like very different from the normal MBA? And then what should one expect after the MBA about the growth or about the prospect that it opens up? Thanks.
Sure, I'll pick this up for you. See, when we compare an executive MBA with a regular MBA, there's hardly any difference in terms of the academic structure. You would be taught the same courses that a regular MBA student is taught. So in terms of the academic structure, you won't really be facing any kind of disadvantage per se. The only the bigger difference would come around the kind of environment that you would be facing. When you actually enter into a regular MBA program, you would see that the whole environment is so competitive and it really pushes you up. It really motivates you to do better than what you've already been doing. And that would be very much that is not the experience that you would be gaining in an executive MBA. On top of it, in an executive MBA, you probably won't have access to direct placements. However, you would definitely have an access to the whole alumni network, and you can develop some connections, and you can probably explore some opportunities within the alumni group. And a lot of people do get that kind of advantage as well when they actually go for an executive MBA. So there's pros and cons to both the programs. If you feel like you really cannot give up your job for one whole year, then I think, yeah, you may consider an executive MBA. But if you feel like you want to hustle for just 1 year of your entire professional career and take a break out of so many things and have some fun around as well, then you definitely can go for a for a regular MBA program. And just to get your point of view on this, do you mean the 1 year MBA, the entire 1 year program, or you mean the one that's there on the weekends that they organize? I probably
No,
missed out on that.
Yeah, I was about to clarify that. I meant the full-time on-campus 1 year
Oh,
MBA.
okay. Yeah, so
That's what I
considering
meant.
the work ex that you already have 6 years, I don't think a 2 year option would be a viable thing for you at this stage of career. Considering, one, you would find a lot of information redundant. You already have a decent amount of work ex. You would definitely have some understanding of the entire spectrum of business concepts. So I think from that perspective, it probably wouldn't make sense. A 1 year MBA, definitely, I think IIM Ahmedabad organizes the PGPX program. There's an EPGP at IIM Bangalore as well. And we have the PGP, the regular PGP at ISB as well. So yeah, each of these programs are at par, and you, depending upon what specialization that each B school offers, you can definitely explore more opportunities into that. It also depends on what's the career trajectory you're aiming at. So yeah, did I answer your question?
Yeah, sure, thanks. I believe that it's everything is similar to the regular program, right? I mean, the placements and I mean environment, because it is essentially fully on campus and similar.
Yeah. I'm not sure about how is it different in IIM Ahmedabad and Bangalore. Probably Chinmay and Ishan can answer that question. In terms of, so because the entire 2 year program would be launched in 2025 in ISB, so there would be some differences even in terms of the placement opportunities. So yeah, there would be some differences in terms of which companies would be approaching what would be the entire structure of the program, how exactly would be the industry immersion programs be taking place in both the cohorts. Maybe it would be somewhat larger it would be somewhat longer in the program with lesser work ex. people. So yeah, that is the difference you can definitely expect, but large and large, if I have to say, 19-20 का फर्क रहेगा बस. तो बहुत difference
Okay,
नहीं रहेगा
thank
2
you.
year और 1 year program में. Hustle दोनों में करना पड़ेगा.
Yeah, obviously. Thank you.
I'll move on. So the next question that we have in chat is it possible to get into IM, ABC or ISB deferred with a 7+ CGPA given everything else in the profile is decent?
What constitutes decent? Maybe we
Prakhar, are
should.
you on call? Do you want to? Okay, I'm not sure if he's there.
Yeah.
Okay. Another question that we have is what exactly did you gain from your B school that you did not have before that sort of equipped you for your current role? Plus, what are the traits that I need to inculcate to thrive in a B school?
I'll answer the second part, right? The traits that you need to inculcate to thrive in B school is not think a lot about the future, right?
Yeah.
Just be very confident about what you are and what you know, and just figure out things as you go, right? But to be serious, right? I think on the software aspect, right? Engineering is something where the main challenges I would have in my engineering life was मुझे fluid mechanics समझ में नहीं आ रहा है और से मुझे analog devices समझ में नहीं आ रहा, right? Those are the kind of issues more on the technical side, right? In IM, right, the first 2 months, it's complete chaos because you have to figure placements, you have to figure out academics, it's a new environment, new friends, right? So it's the balancing and the jugglery that is the bigger challenge in MBA versus the technical challenge in engineering, right? That is, I think, something that will keep up coming in life because life is going to be jugglery, in fact, right? So I think MBA equips you on those kind of aspects more. And on the whole technical aspect, the kind of courses that are taught in MBA are again not something very heavy on math. Obviously, there'll be some anomalies, but not typically very heavy on math or very heavy on something that is out of reach for an average person. Everyone understands the concepts. It's just that they are more real life oriented. They are more case study based. You would have heard the word case studies a lot, right? They teach you a real life case study and then relate the concept / the framework to the real life case study. So that is the way B schools teach you, which is outside the textbook or something which is a mixture of both textbook and real life. So I think that is more on the technical aspect. But for me personally, B school was more non-technical learning, right? The whole jugglery, the whole challenge of having great days and very bad days parallelly and still being able to get through things one at a time, right? Having multiple battles, fighting one at a time. I think that is something that B school equips you more for life than any other technical stuff.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely agree with Chinmay's point of view. So I'll rather focus on the very first part. So what a B school gave me was a sense of confidence. There were multiple failures within the entire set of terms we had. So when you actually pick up a new thing, because most of you would be entering into middle management roles going forward, if not senior management. So you would be facing a lot of problems, or you would be facing a lot of challenges in your jobs, and you probably won't have that technical knowledge to actually counter it on your fingers. So what a B school equips you with is that sense of confidence that, okay, it's all right, I haven't been able to solve it yet, but eventually I'll do my research, I'll do my hard work, and eventually I will be able to solve the entire set of problems. So because you would be hustling so much, you would be managing so many things all at once, you would definitely be compromising with your sleep as well. You might, I'm not saying you will. So you eventually get that sense of confidence within yourself that, okay, I am meant to do this and I will be able to do this. So that's the biggest takeaway from a B school that I have had.
Yeah, I just want to touch on the second question, tangential to that. I think Chinmay covered that, but I just want to say the set of people who worry about what to do inside a B school and then focusing too much on that and not getting through either CAT or interview will be a very large set. But if you see the set of people who go through the admissions process, enter a B school, and then have a problem because they have not prepared for all these things, what to do when inside, what specialization to take any such question, that will be negligible. I'm just again and again saying this because I think, yeah, one CAT cycle happened after I gave it, and I saw so many people who focus too much on these things, building their profiles for internships in the B school or preparing for the interview before CAT, building a profile for the interview before giving CAT, and not going through either CAT or the interview. So I would seriously recommend you to, for now, if you have decided to do an MBA, put your 100% on CAT, and just 1.5 months is left there, and after that on the interviews. All these questions won't remain questions after that. You going through the process, all these things become clear. There are avenues for you to get these questions answered. After you get admissions, these webinars will be held by your alums of the B school, and there you can focus on all this. Just saying because I have seen very many people getting lost in this cycle, and focus this is honestly focusing on the wrong thing at this point of time.
We have a question specifically for Shubham. So they are asking if there's any tips for preparation for ISB interviews and any platform that you used.
So yeah, I did use one platform for mock interviews. I won't be naming it over here. You can connect with me offline and we can discuss it. But I had just one mock interview with that platform. I decided to not go for a holistic package with that. So yeah, we can definitely connect offline with respect to it. In terms of the preparation for ISB interviews, so ISB interviews are very much chill in nature. They just want to validate what your profile is, how well you've written your applications, and what exactly have you written on your essays, and they would tend to validate that. And also in the letter of recommendation that would be given by a supervisor. So they just want to have a discussion around that. What exactly is ISB meant for you? What exactly do you feel about ISB, and is ISB meant for you or not? And for just like 5 or 10 minutes, they might just want to challenge you or put you in an uncomfortable position, just to check how you react into it. So most part of the entire interview would be very much relaxed. It's more like a discussion and not really like a viva. So just make sure that you are very much thorough with your essays. You haven't really cooked up any stories, and you're very much clear with what you really want to achieve within the B school and even after that. So as long as you're clear in these three aspects, you would be very much comfortable. It's easier said than done because there are multiple layers to it. There would be so many nuances associated. And definitely, you would be put into an uncomfortable position for a very brief part of it. It might happen at the very starting of the interview. It might happen towards the end of it, just to see how you react. How exactly are you able to counter that, and whether you're losing your cool or not. So yeah, as long as you're confident about your own personality and you're confident about what you've written in your application, you would be very much comfortable for the interview.
Yeah, thanks for that. We have a CAT specific question finally. So they ask if it would be helpful if you have any particular tips for VARC and CAT. I'm sorry, I'm not very proficient with CAT terminology. It's there on the chat box if you want to. Yeah.
I mean, I got my lowest score in VRC, so I'll go last.
All right. I actually got my highest score in VRC, and I'm pretty sure that's what got me the shortlist. But the thing with VRC is, people see my score and ask this question a lot, but there's no such way to prepare for the questions as such. The reason I think I did well was because I had a habit of reading a lot throughout my time in school and at BITS. That was a years-long habit. I could read fast, so I had a very big advantage that I could complete all the questions with well in time in VRC. So that put me very close to 100 percentile in that particular section at least. And the verbal ability part, at least, yeah, that part you can practice, prepare if you start now. But for the reading comprehension, I would say it's just practice in the sense, if you had a habit of reading, and yeah, basically that. The reason I'm not being very helpful is I don't know what to do with 1.5 months left on that front, for the reading comprehension part. But just for those who are giving CAT next year or so, I would say that just at least spend 30 minutes, 1 hour. So for GMAT, which has a verbal section, which is tougher than CAT, which actually I gave first, which I think helped me in CAT. So there, the primary method of preparing for the verbal section, they tell us to read The Economist, which is a current affairs magazine or newspaper, basically weekly newspaper. I already did that during our UG for fun. So that helped me. So if you have the time, I would say do that. But with the time that is left for this CAT, I would say focus on DILR and QA and the verbal ability part. Reading comprehension, just keep it as a baseline that you are not rejected because of it. But right now, the effort you put, which would be much more productive in the other two sections. There you can very rapidly improve in the last 1.5 months by practicing a lot. With reading comprehension, I don't think the improvement will be as stark.
Yeah, just a quick tactical point, right? As Ishan rightly pointed out, the longest lead time to improvement is in VARC, right? So VARC is not something that you can quickly ramp up upon. 2 or 3 tactical points would be, don't dwell upon a question a lot. If you are someone who has enough confidence in the other 2 sections, make sure that you give those sections due attention. And given VARC is the first section, if I'm not wrong, if I'm not sure if that's still the case, VARC is typically the first section, right? So you don't want that section to throw you off and your confidence goes down in the other 2 sections, right? So I would say 2 things, right? There is one way to nail CAT. The right way is either to get above decent score in each section, or to nail one section really well and do decent enough in the other 2. Both get you a same sum total, which gets you through with a decent percentage. So understand the kind of prep you have, the kind of comfort you have with the 3 sections, and understand what is the strategy you would go through. 1 month before CAT, I realized that I was really good at DILR and okay-ish or maybe above average in the other 2. Right? So I knew I had to do very well in DILR and not mess up really bad in the other 2. That is a strategy that I took, and thankfully it worked out. A lot of my friends had very good scores in all 3, and again they got around the same percentile as I did. So be very tactical, given it's only 1.5 months. You cannot start stuff from scratch. So VA is something that would still come, fairly easily. RC is something that takes time. So don't fret a lot about RC. Focus on VA, and of course do well on the other 2 sections.
Okay. Shubham, do you want to take it or should I move ahead?
No, I'm more of a GMAT person.
Okay. So the next question that we have is, should we prepare by self-study or take some coaching for CAT? And you guys can share what you did if you don't have like clear answers.
Take this. So if you ask a bit seniors who went through CAT, a lot of them would say they did only self-study mocks 2 weeks before, from 2-3 weeks before. I also did that. I would not recommend anyone to do that. The thing is, there's a selection bias there. I think survivorship bias, a very strong one, that you will only go and ask for this advice from people who got through CAT. Many of them will have gotten through with, I think, 2-3 weeks of mocks, so 1 mock a day. I remember in my one batch senior, 22 Pilani, another person was there with 99.93 percentile. He also took a 2-week holiday from his PS2, did 1 mock each day, got 99.93. I started around 3 weeks before, did 15-ish mocks and some practice, again same percentile. But that was true in his case because he was already very strong in maths, that the QA portion, quantitative ability portion, he didn't have to study at all. From the first mock he could get through it. My case was, as I said, I was already strong with reading and comprehension, so I could get through that. So this advice is not universally applicable, and I have seen a lot of people from this college specifically fall into that trap. I would say for to be specific to answer your question, just give mocks or previous year CATs as the first step. Give 2 or 3 of them. There's nothing in the syllabus that you don't know how to solve. You'll know everything. If given the time, you can solve the full paper for the first day without preparing anything. The problem is the 2-hour time limit. So give the mock, start your preparation by giving a previous year paper, see where you stand. Maybe you'll find out, as Chinmay said, that you are one cohort that is very good in one section, okayish in the other 2 sections. Then you'll have an idea of what to do. If you are okay in all 3 sections, then also you'll have an idea of what to do. And you'll also, I think the realization came to me, it comes to everyone, that after you give the previous year papers, you realize where you are lacking. As in, if it's just time with QA, then maybe you'll realize that I know how to solve each and every question. I just need to practice more and improve my speed. It could be that case. It could be that you are having conceptual issues, in which case you might need coaching. So that's a context specific question. The only specific advice that I think is applicable to everyone is starting your preparation, just give previous year CATs, 2 or 3, give mocks, and form a strategy around that. And if you, after giving those, then come to people like us, and with that context, ask what needs to be done, because the answer will be very different.
My story is a bit different, right? For me, given once I decided I wanted to do an MBA, I was really scared that I'm a fresher. Obviously, I'm going to lose out on a lot of aspects, right? Not having work ex, right? And of course, I am an engineering candidate that further does good in terms of entry into IIMs, right? I was very clear that I will have to etch out like a good strategy to make sure that I give CAT really well, because CAT percentile is one, gets me a call into the interviews for IIMs. Secondly, CAT percentile still has a very heavy percentage when it comes to the actual admission process as well. So eventually CAT score is going to dictate a lot of your decisions and outcomes in life. So given that, I think I was doing my PS2, this is somewhere around May, June, right? Is when I started prepping for CAT. As Ishan rightly pointed out, the first thing I did was I appeared for 1 or 2 mocks, right? There are 1 or 2 agencies that I availed the test series from. Of course, we can discuss that offline. And once I got a baseline of how good or bad I am in specific sections, that is when I, gave probably a month to the theory part. CAT is not something like JEE Advanced, which, as Ishan said, even if I give you like 10 days, you still won't be able to solve some questions. If I give you 1 whole day, you will completely nail CAT. The challenge is the time and the accuracy. You will have to sacrifice either accuracy or speed, right? It's a game of both. So that only comes with practice. So probably 1 month of theory is what I did. I had some resources. Post that, I just started appearing for mocks on the weekends. Weekdays, obviously, I was doing my PS2. I didn't have a lot of time. So 1 mock on each weekend and probably an hour spent on analyzing on where I was going wrong. I might have given somewhere around 20 to 25 mocks over 2 to 3 months. And I think, yeah, that is how I think I was finally able to be confident about what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses, and how do I go about it on the D-Day. So yeah, I mean, start early, get a baseline, and then obviously you can pace yourself. CAT is a very self-discovery kind of a process, right? Appearing for CAT, you yourself will know what you're good at, what you're bad at, and how you should amend your ways to make sure the exam turns out as the way you want.
Cool. We are almost at the closing time, but we'll take one last question. So the question says, while the question is framed as what would make me want to take CAT versus an Indian MBA instead of looking to go abroad, I think we'll answer it from a broader perspective, as in why did you guys choose an Indian MBA versus going abroad?
Okay, I'll probably answer that. So the very first reason why I chose for an Indian MBA was because of the because of the macroeconomic conditions that are currently prevailing in some of the European, US, and Southeast Asian B schools. So that was one of my decisions, one of the criteria that heavily influenced me. And on top of it, I did realize that when and I'll be specific for ISB, but although I know it's very much applicable for both IIM Ahmedabad and Bangalore and Calcutta as well, kind of international exposure you get in terms of the exchange program or the faculty visiting you out there, I just felt like from a financial standpoint, it makes more sense to just stick around with an Indian MBA. So those were two of the key determinants that influenced my decision. However, it can definitely vary from people to people. Some of the courses that are offered in a lot of B schools, like for example, a lot of sustainability development programs are already there in Stanford. So you can definitely opt for that if you've really focused around working in that particular niche sector. So it totally depends on what you want to do and what kind of courses and what kind of opportunities that B school is offering. A very good way to check that is identifying the company or the organization where you want to work. Look at the alums, from which B schools are they currently coming from, or maybe probably do it in a like somewhat like in a reverse manner, like just go through some of the top tier B schools that you want to go get into. Look, try to identify the companies and the sectors that those guys have been working in. So either ways, you can just identify whether this B school is meant for you or not. So, and that is irrespective of whether it's an Indian B school or European, US, or Southeast Asian. So that is how I would suggest you can evaluate your whether the B school is meant for you or not. And any additions to it, if Ishan and Chinmay can offer some wisdom.
One or two quick, right? Yeah, sure, Ishan, go ahead.
No, go ahead, please.
Oh, I was just saying, so there was this one friend of mine who was my batchmate and we were prepping for CAT together. He got a good 99.92, but he was really clear from the beginning that he wanted to go abroad and settle abroad, right? So what I want to say is, apart from the technical aspect, right, think of practically what you want. Because pursuing MBA abroad is a huge cash outlay, right? It's not very affordable for a lot of people, right? So if you're going to do that cash outlay, if you're going to invest that much, be sure that the ROI is going to be worth it. So understand what is your future outlook in life from a work perspective, but from a non-work perspective as well. Second, of course, the macroeconomic situation, right? Recent times haven't been really very stable, right? So there were volatility around that as well. So factor that in. Obviously, it's very cyclical, right? It's a 3-4 year cycle, good, bad. So just understand where you are and time the cycle well if you want to end up, having good opportunities abroad. The story for me was that I specifically did not look forward to, settling abroad. I was indifferent, right? I was nonchalant in that perspective. Obviously, I knew that at some point, if there's an opportunity that comes up, I will sure evaluate it. And based on whatever my situation is at that point, take a decision. That is where I knew that doing an Indian MBA now would probably pan out better. And tomorrow, obviously, all the large firms do have some or the other kind of mobility programs, or you can obviously switch abroad. It's not that easier said than done, but there are chances that you can do that. So I was clear that I would probably pursue it then rather than now. So from a more practical standpoint, MBA abroad did not make a sense for me, is why I didn't pursue it.
Yeah, I just want to answer specifically from the freshers perspective. So the issue that comes for us is that Indian MBA admissions would take place immediately. And for an MBA, by and large, they take with WorkX. There are deferred programs which have very limited number of seats in their overall cohorts and are therefore very, very selective. So ignoring that, what you would need to do to go for an foreign MBA is right now leave the opportunities of pursuing an Indian MBA, except ISB, which I'm counting in foreign, except the location. But yeah, you'll have to basically forego the IIMs for now. Get 3-4 years WorkX, and then if you decide to go to an IIM, you can, but it might not be ideal for you. So just from that perspective, the issue that came up with me in fact, I was interested in settling abroad, but the issue with foreign MBAs is that unlike CAT or GMAT, anything, they'll look at a holistic overview of your profile, which basically to me meant that there will be a lot of luck and things out of my control involved in the admission process. And I couldn't build the trust that I will definitely go through that and get a good enough MBA which will be worth leaving. I am Ahmedabad right now and having a 3-4 years delay. So that was my thought process in letting that particular opportunity go. Secondly, as I think Shubham also covered, that from each and every person I talked to, India or abroad, everyone said to for right now the time for abroad is not correct. The placement scenario there is very difficult, and they don't have placements as such. They have job fairs where you have to negotiate your salaries. So because the company now controls your visa access, you will, for the exact same role, there's a chance, almost a certainty, that you'll get less. So with all that, I decided to come here, stay here. And again, as I think Chinmay said, everyone said that the better way to is to just come here, take a good job, try for a company which has global operations, and in that company try and see whether there's an option to transfer out. There are a lot of companies do have, and if you're specifically aiming for that, then you'll select one such company. So yeah,
Thank you for
that
that.
was my.
Yeah, thanks everyone. I think we've run out of time now, so we will be closing the session. Thank you so much, Shubham, Ishan, and Chinmay, for taking out time, giving all of your insights. Thank you everyone for attending. We will post the recording on YouTube, and I think the panelists have said you feel free to reach them offline for any specific questions. Okay, thank you everyone.
All the best, folks.
Sure. All the very
Thank you
best,
so much for
guys.
having this
Thank you
session,
so
guys.
much.